convener of the Free the Sheeple movement and leader of the Free Nation in Christ. I greet you and I bring glad tidings. Today I'm teaching on spirituality. I'm not going to teach you how to be spiritual today because first of all I have to establish why I don't teach spirituality. And it is because I do not teach spirituality to babies. I'm going to call your nanny. Okay? He's bored. He wants me to play with him, but I'm supposed to be busy. And I warn him that if he makes any noise, I'll take him to his nanny. So we had a signed agreement before. I hope we both stick with the agreement. You see, a lot of things are wrong in this country. And the greatest mistake ever is the fact that we follow the line of our parents. You call someone, I was talking to my friend Kel yesterday, and Kel was like, I was raised this way, that's why I pay tithe. And I was like, I'm going to call your nanny. And he was like, and she was like, I pay tithe because that's what my parents raised me to do. In Nigeria, we were raised, listen carefully, to circumcise women. We were raised to give our children tribal marks. We were raised to allow a man cheat on his woman and see it as fair, but not allow a woman cheat on her man, because if she does, she's a hoe. That's what our parents taught us. They taught this directly and indirectly. Thanks, Tony. I read through your message. Once I round up the teaching, I'm going to call you as I'm driving to my interview. I have an interview this morning for some TV station. So as I'm driving there, I will we'll talk so we can. Thank you so much, by the way. Everybody give a big shout out to Fab Mom of 4. She is a fabulous mom of 4 and one of my greatest supporters and inspirations. Going through this taste buds time, I'll just call her at 2 a.m. and start sounding off my worries, you know. And she's really, really been there for me. I appreciate everyone who's been there for me. Drew's African Barbie as Nneka, Folashade, Betty Olabode, Felix Adebayo, of course, one of my first disciples. Irene, Irene. Without Irene, I don't know if we'll have even gotten here, because Irene will now help me now coordinate myself to come and teach. The work must go on. We can't stall the word of God or the work of God because I'm going through a moment. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be done. Whether I'm happy or not, whether I'm in the mood, the word must go on. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than my moods. It's bigger than my situation. It's the word of God. And it must go on. So a big shout out to Fab Mom of 4. A big shout out to my people, to Hayere, Ola, Charles, Mayowa, and every other person. If I forgot you, just give me a big holler. So I'll remember, because my mind is not completely okay now. So let's go straight to the word. But before I go into the word, let's remember that we live in a time when what our parents taught us seems very important. And disobeying your parents in itself is very unbiblical. The Bible says you must never disobey your parents. But you see, unfortunately, our parents didn't follow the good doctrine of the Bible. They followed the Yahoo boys of their time. And what they've done is they've compromised us. You see, I read a survey that people who have disdain for their parents are people who took decisions they regret based on parental pressure or advice. You listen to your parents now, you do everything to please them now, but you will hold them in contempt later on in life. It will happen like that. My dad was not responsible for my decision because I was a rebel. All my life I've been a rebel. But guess what? At a time when many of my friends are holding their fathers in disdain, I'm respecting my father. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. That disdain is usually from physical results because you took some physical actions. Now imagine the spiritual disdain you'd have for your parents if you get to heaven's gate and realize that you're not going to go in because of a decision your father or your mother made on your behalf. I explained to you how sinful it is to pay tithe. A lot of people think it's my tithe, I can pay it. Ha! If you read Galatians 5:1 and the book of Hebrews 7:18, you'd realize that the old priesthood was thrown out because it was unprofitable. And you'd realize that if you want to obey the law, you have to obey the whole law. You are a slave to the law. Now here's the problem. Imagine me and Fab Mom of 4. We're walking down the street. The moment Fab Mom of 4 starts to pay tithe, or starts to give first fruit, she puts herself under the law. Now, when she's under the law, things like hair that's not supposed to be a sin becomes a sin. Eating catfish becomes a sin. So, the paying of tithe directly is not a sin. But it leads you to sin because it removes the cover of grace. It's there written in the book of... I read it to you guys yesterday. Go and find my teaching and read it. Or better still, just hit the subscribe button so anytime I teach, it'll come up so you'll be able to understand. And the bane of my teaching today lies on spirituality. But I want to help you guys understand the carnality of Nigerian spirituality. Maybe I should even change the topic. The carnality of Nigerian spirituality, or the Pentecostal spirituality, is a carnal spirituality. I'll explain it to you guys throughout today. Look at taste buds, for instance. A lot of people are saying, why are you getting a divorce? Really? A woman that gets up and seeks to end her marriage is a noble woman. Because you know what her mates will do? They will stay in the marriage and be having boyfriend. And you see, our society is so hypocritical. You are in a relationship, you're unhappy, you're cheating on your husband, but as long as you're married, you're good. A pastor gave her that advice. I wish I could get her in the right frame of mind this Saturday so she could actually tell you some of the things she told me. A pastor once gave her advice to get a boyfriend. A policewoman gave her the same. Many people, is that why you want to end your marriage? I don't know if I'm making sense to you. So there is so much hypocrisy. Because he's a pastor, he can preach and get away with it. We're still waiting for that robust response. Did you get it? I didn't get it. The Otobolizer, up till now, he's still preaching. Nobody's stopping him. But when I stand before you, you start to judge my life. And I ask you, judge us all. Don't judge only me. I have no problem with judgment. Judge. But judge fairly. Inside this whole matter, somebody came here to ask, am I bisexual? The kind of things that go through people. Inside that whole thing you read, was there at any point where I said I was bisexual? Now somebody has answered him and said, no dear, it is your mother that is bisexual. As they have cursed your mother now, are you happy? Because I'm not going to be angry with the person that cursed your mother. Because obviously, I don't know where that thing is coming from. We are teaching about the carnality of spirituality and you are going into... I'm trying to establish the fact that we're hypocritical back here. Adultery is worse than divorce. And a lot of people don't realize something. You see, let me tell you something here. Divorce can be very technical. But once you've not lived with somebody for 2 years, you're technically divorced. Because if you sit down and wait for a judge or somebody to... I've seen people in court for 5 years, 6 years, not because of the divorce, because they are fighting over property or because they're fighting over one thing or the other. And the judge hasn't given the divorce, not because the couple is not... The marriage hasn't broken down irretrievably, but because of what they're fighting for. But you see, they're technically divorced. And Nigeria needs to establish the status of separation. In church, they'll say married, single, finish, or widowed. There is separated, married, divorced, single, widowed. There is a status called separated abroad. We need to start respecting ourselves. The slavery of the biblical and the religious marriage does not operate in 2017. Let me give you an example of biblical doctrine. If you rape a woman, you must marry her and pay her father, how many, 20 shekels, 50 shekels? That part of the Bible just... So, you take a woman that has been traumatized by a rapist and put her inside the same house to be living with that traumatizer, and you say that Bible can guide you in marriage? The Bible can guide us in many things. I'm not sure marriage is one of them. I'm sorry. Because why? Not because Christ is ever wrong, but because the Bible was written in an era where women were not respected as human beings almost. Women were second to men. And I, Daddy Freeze, do not believe a woman is second to me. No. A woman is my equal. But she has her place in my home and in my life. Does it make sense? Somebody raped you, then you now have to live with it, and the person must never divorce you. Is a clause. And you want to base the biblical marriage on that? It doesn't mean he can never he must take care of you, but he can marry other women, but he must never divorce you because he raped you. So you are not only living with rape, you're living with the rapist, and then you can never divorce the rapist. It is well. I will never base my marriage on that. I'm sorry. And I'll never advise or allow anyone to be coerced or fooled into basing their marriage on a system that has been proven futile. Somebody says, please, what passage in the Bible says that the woman should marry the rapist? You see the difference between me and your geos? I will show you the Bible. So please just give me 2 minutes. Let my Bible load. Me and you will read these things. You'll be very happy today. So, I'm waiting for it to load. So, it's open now. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy 22. I want to choose the verse I want to read from because it's a very technical. All right, fantastic. I'm reading from the New International Version. Okay, Deuteronomy 22. Let's all read from 28. Can you guys see the Bible? Is it clear? If a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman, for he has violated her. He can never divorce her as long as he lives. Okay? A man is not to marry his father's wife. He must not dishonor his father's bed. That has nothing to do with it. So 30 is not. The verses are Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. If it makes sense to you, clap for yourself. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. I'm not exalting myself over the biblical authority, but I'm disagreeing as a trained sociologist who studied the society for 4 years and has a bachelor's degree in the study of the society, that this society cannot function in this present time for many reasons, largely or more so because this particular dispensation recognizes the rights of women. Hey, you, bring my ID card. I'll call your nanny. If you don't, come and sit down. Peace!
No.
Then come and sit down here. You are breaking our agreement. Somebody said, Daddy Freeze, you said that something I don't like. I don't like this one you just said. I support many of your points. No place in the Bible asks Christians to marry a rapist. And also the Bible can help marriages. Well, Christians per se were not asked to marry their rapists. However, the Christianity we have today, especially the Christianity of those big churches, is based largely on the Old Testament. That is why one very popular pastor whose wife left him for 10 years, I'm sure a lot of you know the story, was told that he cannot move on unless his wife dies. Now, when he moved on, he was driven out of the church, so he had to establish his church. I know some of you know the very popular story, married to a very good friend of mine who is a very beautiful woman. So the story is, because of the biblical, what is it? Now, Jesus never came. Let's be very careful. Jesus never came and abolished this doctrine. He never came and said the law of Moses, if a man rapes, he didn't talk about rape. And neither did the disciples. So if you're following the law, this thing still stands. So those of you paying tithe and you have been raped, why are you not married to your rapist? You've been molested, why are you not married to your molester? Should people want to obey God when he sent his own son to you to purge you of your sins and put you on a higher pedestal so you can be among the stars when it comes to access to him, and you now want to go back to your floor sheep mentality and be rolling in the mud? Guys, let's use our sense. I don't know who it is that I'm speaking to this afternoon. Someone said, who's the pastor? I can't tell you his name, but a lot of people are going to figure it out. So, basing your marriage on the Bible, if you're not careful, let me warn you, even Jesus fed the 5,000 without counting women. It's there in the Bible. So you've got to be very careful when you're taking these stands, especially with regards to the modern day society. When even gays are recognized, then you now want to know, you don't want to recognize women? So let's move on to the topic of the day. I guess I've established a bit on the hypocrisy of where we are now. Let's move into spirituality. Why I don't teach spirituality to babies. You see, since the Free the Sheeple movement was birthed and the Free Nation established, we're all babies. We're growing together. And I will not teach spirituality to babies because there's a problem. I'm going to show you something here. Let me just put this here. I want to show you one of my watches. Okay? The one I'm wearing today. It's a limited edition. Not limited, a special edition. It's called the Hulk. It's a Rolex Submariner. Now, if I wore this watch into an airport in Switzerland, chances are that people who are trying to spot fakes would call me aside and say, please sir, can we look at your watch? And I'll have to hand them the watch. And when I hand them the watch, they will have to examine it. If it were fake, I'll get into a lot of trouble. Now, how do they know fake watches? because they have taken time out to study the original. They know this is what you call the bezel in a watch, this green part here. It has to be a certain width. If you look inside, there's something like a little wall inside the watch. That's called the rehaut. In Rolex, it's engraved, and it's engraved in a specific fashion. This is called the Cyclops lens. It has to be a certain size, and it has to give the perfect type of magnification. All those things are studied. Then they listen to the movement. They check the bracelet. They check everything to make sure the watch is authentic. How do they do that? By understanding what the authentic looks like. I cannot teach you spirituality because many of you do not understand what authentic spirituality is. How do you understand authentic spirituality? By first of all studying logic. If you understand logic, you will know when something is not in line with logic. I'm going to give you an example. My mother just survived cancer about 10 years ago. She had gone through chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and they made a mistake. They gave her an excessive dose of radiotherapy, and I think it started affecting her kidneys. And she was about to start, we were all panicking that after all this chemotherapy and radiotherapy, it is now kidney that we want to now start doing again. Do you understand? The family went through a very sad phase. Now let me take you one step further here. One day, while my mom was about to start a kidney session, the preceding week, or the next week as the case may be, let me not back out. She was strolling around the house and she saw a cockroach. And my mom likes to use her leg to kill cockroach. I used to be so disgusted. Do you know, in my house, my kids are not allowed to kill cockroach unless it's with spray or with broom. Because the broom doesn't squash them and bring out that yucky, gooey cockroach internal. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. So I'd always quarreled with my mom. So I was actually on the phone with my mom, and I could hear her trying to move around. I said, "What are you doing?" She said nothing. If she had told me, maybe I would have told her, why don't you want to use your leg to kill cockroach again? I just heard a scream. Apparently, what my mom thought was a cockroach was actually a scorpion. It ran across the room and she see cockroach. She just stepped on it. Cham! The thing just bit her. Back out. My mother threw the phone and started screaming. I panicked. Started calling my dad. My sister was there. Oh my God, mommy has been bitten by a scorpion. Oh, we found the scorpion. Okay, we are taking the scorpion. They rushed her to my dad's clinic in Nigeria. You know, if you were abroad, they understand there's some guy, his job is to study scorpions. So anytime they have any problem relating to scorpion, they just call him. He's an expert on scorpion. He will come. He will tell you the life cycle of the scorpion, tell you the breed of the scorpion, tell you the type of poison the scorpion has, and he'll tell you where you can get the anti-venin. But my dad, being a doctor, not an expert on venom or poison, just being a general practitioner. Sorry guys. Yes, what can I do for you? Get on the bed now or you're going to your nanny. So my dad, being a general practitioner, just tried to give her, I think he gave, I'm not sure, he tried to give her some steroids for the pain, and he tried to give her a lot of water to flush her out. He gave her some. Now my mom screamed the whole night, slept, and woke up the next morning, and we called her and she said that pain she was feeling in her kidney, she's no longer feeling it. Between me, you, and God, that's how kidney problem was removed from my mother. We don't know whether it's the venom of the scorpion. We don't know if the trauma. We don't know if it's what my father gave her or a combination of all. But whatever happened was not logical. Scorpions do not cure kidney problems. I know. All my doctors know. Even my dad knows. They studied her for a while and she seemed to be getting better. And all of a sudden now, she doesn't even have any kidney-related issues again. This was a woman that was about to start dialysis. When you understand logic, you understand things that defy logic. Who's with me? I want you to put that up. Who's with me? When you understand logic, somebody said, I'm just preaching to myself. He may be right. So let me ask the guys, am I just preaching to myself, or are you guys understanding what I'm saying? When you understand logic, you understand when things defy logic. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. But you cannot understand things that defy logic if you don't understand logic. Who's with me this afternoon? Me. Let's say the second part. You can't understand things that defy logic if you don't understand logic. Now, you can't understand what a fake watch looks like if you've not seen and studied the original. I want you to look at someone beside you this morning and tell them, study the original. Study the original. I want you to put that up. You can't understand a fake watch if you have never seen the original. You can't understand a fake miracle if you've never seen the original. And you can't understand spirituality if you haven't taken your time out to study logic. Somebody said in US, logic is known as critical thinking. If you haven't... Sorry, I need to remove some dumb people who are here. Okay. Somebody says, Daddy Freeze, don't be blocking people. No. If you don't know how to talk, it's not my business is to give you a message. If you don't know how to talk, your parents failed, you go and fight them, not me. I will not go to anybody's page, no matter how I disagree with them, and call them names. I can call them names on my page. Guys, you want to call me names, go to your page and call me names there. We don't have critical thinking in Nigeria. That is why we are slaves to charlatans, slaves to thieves who know the original, but because we do not know the original, they present the fake to us. I was at a friend's place the other day, and he said he had, I want to remember, Stanley, greatest Stanley was with me. He can bear me witness. This guy came all the way from Abuja. He said he had an Udemar, he wanted to say Udemar Pige, Odemas. So for those of you who don't understand, Greatest Stanley on Instagram was with me that day, was at Cool FM. He said he wanted to sell it 5 million, that he got it from his father's friend, blah, 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 blah. He gave the watch to me. As soon as I looked at the watch, the first thing I did was I pressed the pusher for the stopwatch. And the stopwatch started counting like this. I said, this is a battery operated watch. And you say it's Udema. This is obviously fake. The guy said, no, it can't be fake. That the person that gave it to him is rich. I said, look, it's not fake because of who gave you. It's fake because of what it is. I want you to say that. It's very important. The message is not fake because of the bearer of the message. The message is fake because of the message. I don't know if you understand. Guys, I need to put it out. So I told him, I said, look, this watch is fake. And now the guy started arguing with me. So Stanley was there. There was one of our receptionists was drinking pure water. I said, give me that pure water. I was wearing a Swiss watch that day. I don't know which one it was, but it was a Swiss watch. So I just put 2 drops of water from the pure water on my watch and 2 drops on his own. That's one of the tests to see if the glass is sapphire crystal, because a high-end Swiss watch like Rolex or Audemars always uses sapphire crystal for their glass, for their crystals. Now, when you put a drop on an original crystal, it beads. You know what it is? It beads. It gathers together. I wish I had water so I could show you guys. Get me some water, my darling son. Get me your water bottle. Let Daddy show the good people what it means. Thank you. Wow, today you're useful to Daddy, even though he has chewed the water bottle. Okay, open the water bottle for me. I don't know how you open this thing that you have chewed. Good. He has opened it for Daddy, so that is how it is. Now, let me show you guys what it means to have water bead on a crystal. So I'm going to pour a few droplets of water, okay? And you will see the water will appear like it's a little bead. You need little drops, not big drops. Okay. Great. So I'm going to show the YouTube people first of all. I don't know if you guys can see it. But can you see those little beads of water, like little droplets that are perfectly, almost like spherical? Can you see that one? This one right here. Let me show you guys. So you don't understand. Can you see? Can you see that bead of water there? It's almost perfectly round. The one right here. Now, sorry guys. Yes. So now, I was now able to show him that. I now poured that same drop of water on his own phone. The thing just went flat. So I told him in front of my friend, Greater Stanley, who's also a disciple of mine, I said, look, this watch is fake. Look at it. It doesn't bead. It has a battery. This guy did not agree. But how was I able to identify a fake? Because I had seen the original. I had studied the original. I want you to put this down. For you to be able to identify a fake, you have to have seen the original. You have to have studied the original. I've spent my money. If work takes me to Dubai, for instance, and they pay my hotel for 3 days, I'm going to pay 1 extra day for myself so I can go to the mall and go and sit in Audemars Piguet and go and sit in Vacheron Constantin and go and sit in Rolex and Piaget and all those other brands to be able to understand the watches. So I have taken time to study what the watches look like. I want to ask you, have you ever taken time out to study logic? Have you ever set aside time for critical thinking? If you do not understand what critical thinking is, they will sell critical thinking to you as a miracle. I don't know who's with me this morning. Baby, I'm going to call your nanny.
No.
Oh yeah, come and sit down here. Who's with me this morning?
Me.
He said me. Oh yeah, come and sit down here. Let me be looking at you. You're up to no good. Now, I know what spirituality is. But I still will not teach it to you yet until I am sure you have identified logic. I know what spirituality is. But you can't find spirituality if you do not understand a logical process. Because they will give you all sorts of buffoonery as spirituality. Let me give you an example. I had a dream once. It was before I met Taste Buds. I was sleeping. I woke up at around 7 a.m. to use the bathroom. I'm one of those guys that sleep till 9 if I don't have anything that gets me up before 9. So I went to use the bathroom and I came right back to my bedroom and I lay on my bed and I slept. And I had this type of dream I've never had before in my life. It was like a dream in 4K. You know, when you shoot a video in 4K, you know how clear it is, like 3D. It was so clear. It was obviously not just a dream. I saw a plane fly over my house and crash into buildings, and from my window I could see people burning. And I ran out of my room, and in my sitting room was my mom and my immediate younger sister Lola, and they were holding a birthday cake for Yetunde. Then I woke up. I was with my ex then, so I woke my ex up. I said, there's going to be a plane crash. I had a dream, and the dream has a date. My sister was born on the 3rd of June. I said, there's going to be a plane crash on the 3rd of June. A plane is going to crash into buildings, and people are going to burn. My sister said, my ex said, don't go and say it before. If you go and say it outside, they will think you want to do terrorism and bomb a plane. So me too, I kept quiet. I told maybe 1 or 2 people, and we went to church to pray for this. We went for a vigil because of this. It's the only time I've been to a vigil in a long time. I do my vigil in my house. But this particular time, I went to a vigil. Okay, sorry, Marshall is distracting people. All right, let me remove him. Sorry, bro. It's not the place for you to come and be looking for publicity. I challenged at the freeze. Go and write your article and challenge me there. Don't come here and be harassing us or a spiritual debate. Please, I blocked him, guys. Everybody was... I didn't want to block him initially, but everybody was complaining. Block him. So, stop it, baby. So, hey, you are disturbing daddy. You are teaching your own imaginary class. So, what now happened was, my ex also said that, look, because I had a very small house then, and my mom and my sister would never really come and stay with me for a long time. They would rather stay with my sister who had a bigger house. So, unbelievably, I didn't notice this. It was after the plane crash, that Dana airplane crash that happened on the 3rd of June, that I started backtracking things. I don't know if you understand. So, 3rd of June was a Sunday. I was hosting an event that day. It was an event where Patience Jonathan was in attendance. I was the MC with Kayla. Kayla was the female MC. So, on Thursday, my mom and my younger sister came, that's Lola, the same one I saw in the dream, came to my house. They didn't want my other sister, Yetunde, who was born on the 3rd of June, to know, because they were planning a surprise party for her. And they planned all this party all the way through Saturday without my other sister knowing that they were with me. And on Saturday, her cake arrived, just like I saw it in the dream, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. And they left my house on Saturday for her house with all the preparations so that the party would be on Sunday. I was on the stage of the event emceeing when they told us that we have to close the event because there's been a plane crash and a lot of people have died. And that was when I remembered, what's today? 3rd of June. I didn't think of it at that time until everything started adding up. Today is the 3rd of June. The Dana crash. The plane crashed into buildings. People were burning. We all saw the videos. My sister's birthday. My mom and my sister brought a cake. Everything I saw came to pass the way I saw it. I was now so angry with myself that if I had looked closer at the plane, I would have told you which plane was going to crash because it was that clear. I remember it was a white plane, but most planes are white anyway. So that wasn't Evidence enough. Now I go to the website 4 years later. I've experienced what a true revelation is. Down to the date, down to how it was going to happen, down to the people who are going to be around when it happened. And then one GO stands on the pulpit and says in 2016 they are going to discover a new venereal disease. And we are in 2018 and no venereal disease. And you want me not to tell you that that's a fake prophecy? You know how I know it's a fake prophecy? Because I've seen a real one. I told you my mother's story. My father is a gynecologist, but also a general practitioner. He knows that scorpions do not cure kidney problems. That's logic. But when the matter defies logic, after you have understood logic, then you would know that this is spiritual. But not when someone stands on a pulpit and speaks out of, I don't know whether it's ignorance or delusion. Have you checked out some of these pastors' prophecies? Because you do not know what spirituality is. I know what spirituality is. And for me to teach you spirituality, I must first teach you logic. Am I establishing something this morning? I must first teach you logic. Let's explain this a little further. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, I don't want to mention names, so her pastor's wife had a medical condition that required her going to Dubai for immediate surgery. So a lot of money was raised and she was flown to Dubai. Here's my question. You're a Christian. You collect tithe. The pastor collects tithe. He collects offering. Who does he collect the tithe and offering from? Can somebody answer? Who does a pastor collect tithe and offering from? Who? Okay, you guys need me to block somebody else. Prophet, official, I'm sorry, but I've got to block you. You're disturbing my people. I'm so sorry, they're complaining. Congregation. A congregation of what? Let's not even call them sheeple. A congregation of what? From members, yes. The members are what? I want to establish something. The church member, God bless you. The members are what? The members of the church, the congregation, they are what? Christians, God bless you. Omolara Amubieya. God bless you. From Christians. Now, you take the tithe money from Christians. You take donations from Christians. And you go to a Muslim country to pay for a hospital in a Muslim country. Because if not, your wife's going to die. And it struck me. You go to Muslim countries like Dubai, Hindu countries like India, and you take the money of God, the money of God's people, and you go and give it to Hindus and Muslims. And as that was ministering to me in the church that day, I started looking around. I looked at the chairs made in China. The plasma TVs, Chinese TVs. The fans were all made in China. The lightings, China. The tiles on the floor, China. You take the money of God's people and you go and give it to Buddhists. You know why? Because you've lacked the understanding of spirituality. You've traded logic for spirituality. Those who didn't become your masters. Those who understand logic will always be the masters of those who do not understand logic and mistake logic for spirituality. If you do it, it's so dangerous that you end up a slave. Dubai is not in poverty. India, we see the figures. India is rushing out of poverty in an unbelievable fashion. China has solved its poverty crisis. China has 1.3 billion people and less than 3% poverty. But with all our spirituality, we are in poverty. Do you know why? Because we fail to understand logic. Only a fool will tell you that the freeze reads the Bible like a textbook. Like that timid clown. Daddy Freeze reads the Bible like a textbook. What a goat. Those of you that read it spiritually are the ones that have endangered us by failing to recognize logic and failing to solve logical problems logically. They have attempted to solve logical problems spiritually and ended up in the mess that we are in today. China did not solve their poverty problem through tithe and offering. Bill Gates did not become the richest man on earth by paying tithe and offering. Jeff Bezos did not make $10 billion this year alone in less than 2 weeks by paying tithe and offering. And Mark Zuckerberg, who also made $4 billion this year, did not do it spiritually. He did it logically. When you do not understand logic, your spirituality becomes carnal. Because you attribute everything to spirituality and fail across board. I don't know who's with me this morning. I hope I was able to drop this well, because I'm still going somewhere. They call me the Antichrist, whereas they are the Antichrist. They try to solve a logical problem with spirituality. That's why they are cursed. I'm still going somewhere. My Instagram's about to shut down because it's been on for an hour. I need you to go with me to YouTube. It's youtube.com/Daddy Freeze Teaches. But I'll try to resurrect the Instagram too if it goes down. I'm still going somewhere. I still have like 15 or like 10 more minutes to establish the final point. So you guys would understand how spirituality becomes carnal. The spirituality taught by the Pentecostal church is a carnal form of spirituality. So carnal, it's satanic. Someone said I missed out the message. Don't worry, you didn't miss out. The message is there on youtube.com/Daddy Freeze Teaches. I'm sorry, guys. While I'm resetting Instagram, please give me a moment to take my son to his nanny. He's playing with a hot water flask and I don't want any accidents. So, guys, I'm resetting Instagram now because it's about to log me off. Then we'll come right back. Oh, yeah, you. Come on, let's go and meet your nanny. No. Nope. I'm done. You are playing with a hot water flask. That's dangerous. Oh, yeah? Come, let's go. She'll get you ready so we will go out together. Oh, yeah, let's go. That is busy. Yeah? Who's your daddy that likes to babysit you? Peace! Hey, what's wrong with you? Peace! Oh yeah, I found her. Oh yeah, come and stay with her a bit. You come back to daddy now. Daddy, I don't. Please. Okay. Oh yeah, please. Stay with her. Make you know what they said. Sorry guys, but he had to go. He was playing with a flask. So before he gets injured. If you notice today, apart from a biblical question about rape that we spoke of earlier on when the teaching started, I haven't really gone into the Bible. I've just tried to teach logically. Now we're going to teach you logic with the Bible. So if you've got a Bible, go with me. You know, I'm going to always show you everything I teach. I'm going to break it down for you with the Bible. He wants to hang out with me, but you see, because I'm teaching and I'm concentrating, I can't concentrate on him. So he's also distracting because I'm seeing him running around. He wants to just be around me. He's comfortable being around me. Somebody's saying, bring back baby freeze. Oh. So, if you've got a Bible, I want you to go with me to the book of Genesis chapter 41. Let's establish this together. Genesis 41. You know what? Before I even come to Genesis 41, I want us to establish a few other things. Okay, let me use this. I have so many Bible passages opened up. Okay. I want us to go to Genesis 27. I think we'll be reading from 10. So just cue that down. Gen 27, 10. Just hold that down. That's not where we're going. Genesis 27, 10. Okay, we're going to keep that on one side. Then I want us to open yet another Bible verse. I need another Bible verse. Okay. From Genesis 32 now. Okay, I didn't put the word Bible there. I need Bible Hub. So let Bible Hub give that to me, to Genesis 32. Why is it not giving me Bible Hub? Okay. So we're reading Genesis 32 from 24. Okay. So we need Genesis 32, 24. We need Genesis 27, 10. Okay, for starters. So let's start with Genesis 27:10 because this is the first one. So let's start in that order. So let's read this 27:10. Are you right, guys? Ready? 10. Then take it to your father to eat it, so he may give you his blessings before he dies. Jacob said to Rebekah, my mother, but my brother Esau is a hairy man, while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I will appear to be tricking him and will bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing. His mother said to him, my son, let the curse fall on me. Just do as I say. Go and get them for me. So this is the plot where Jacob cheated Esau out of a blessing. Then if you go to 21, then Isaac said to Jacob, come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether really you are Esau, my son Esau, or not. Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he promised to bless him. Are you really my son, Esau? He said. I am. Then he said, my son, bring me some of your game to eat, that I may give you my blessings. So, inside all this, what did you guys, let me start teaching this as a class. What did you guys understand? That Jacob, that Isaac blessed, who? That Isaac blessed Jacob. You guys understand that? You see, Jacob is blessed. He actually stole Esau's blessing. Okay? You can find that in the book of Genesis 27, and you read all the way down from 10. It's all there for you. So you even know the story. I don't even need to show you the Bible. It's a popular story. We know it. Now, if you go to the book of Genesis 32, and we're reading from 22 this time, just take a look at it. Genesis 32, the New International Version says Jacob wrestled with God. You can see that. That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, the 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions, so Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. The man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What's your name?" "Jacob," he answered. The man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." He replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "It's because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." So Jacob wrestled with God and prevailed, and his name was changed from Jacob to Israel. Who's with me this morning? So Jacob collected Esau's blessing. Jacob was the father of Israel. Jacob wrestled with God and prevailed and was blessed. The strange part of it is, if you go with me right now to the book of Genesis 41, I want to establish something in Genesis 41, so I'm going to show you the Bible. If you read 28, the Bible says, "Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, 'The dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same.'" Sorry, I want to show you the Bible, guys, so you can read this. "God has revealed to Pharaoh what he's about to do." Let's take that again. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he's about to do. While God is revealing the next 14 years to a pagan Pharaoh, the man he wrestled with and overcame, the man who took Esau's blessing, was alive. Because the solution to the problem of the land, the problem coming, was not through blessings, it was through logic. Joseph did not tell Pharaoh to convert to Christianity or to convert to his faith. Joseph did not tell Pharaoh that you need to pray. Joseph did not tell Pharaoh that he needed to do 50 days of fasting. Like City of David was sending me a text message or an email, whatever it is they were sending me in error. What he provided was a logical solution through critical thinking. The problem of Nigeria is not in 50 days fast. Stop the fast now. It's not anything related to our solution. The problem is not prayer. We have prayed enough. The problem is we do not think logically. The Buddhists, the Hindus, the Muslims all think logically. That's why we are their slaves. Do you know how many of your pastors have invested their money in Dubai, in a Muslim country? They've gone to buy houses. They've paid a Muslim state the money they got from Christians, and you think it makes sense? If it makes sense to you, you're a fool. A big fool. A dingbat is what you are. If you think it makes sense that they take the money of Christians and go and give it to Muslims who have built their nation, so they don't collect your money and enjoy. They can even use it to build mosques. Am I lying? Are you the one telling them what to do with their money? The government has built hospitals and lovely things. You come and patronize them. The government can say, okay, you know what, let's build another mosque. So they are using the money of Christianity to build mosque in Dubai. They are using the money of Christianity to build shrine in the Hindu, in India. They are using the money of Christianity to build monastery for the Buddhists in China. And people think you have sense? You are goats. Anybody that still carries his tithe to give to a church now is not just a fool, he's doomed for hellfire. Where we are taking, as long as I've explained it to you, and I've verified it with the Bible, and guess what? I'm going to verify it even more. It did not start happening now. Right from the time of Joseph, this has been happening. The carnality of spirituality was an issue from the time of Pharaoh. If you've got a Bible, go with me right now real quick to the book of Genesis. And I'm reading from 47 now. Let's do this together. Genesis 47. Joseph and the famine. There was no food, however, in the whole region because the famine was severe. Both Egypt and Canaan wasted away because of the famine. Joseph collected all the money that was found in Egypt and Canaan in payment for the grain they were buying, and he brought it to Pharaoh's palace. When the money of the people of Egypt and Canaan was gone, all Egypt came to Joseph saying, "Give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? Our money is all gone. Then bring your livestock." They brought all their livestock. Now, if you go to 2018, when that year was over, they came to him the following year saying, "We cannot hide from our Lord the fact that since our money is gone and all our livestock belonging to you, there is nothing left for our Lord except our bodies and our land. Why should we perish before your eyes? We and our land as well. Buy us and buy our land in exchange for food, and we will be with our land will be in bondage. We with our land will be in bondage to Pharaoh. Give us seed that we may live and not die, and that the land may not become desolate." Now, this is a very important part. So Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh. The Egyptians, one and all, sold their fields because the famine was too severe for them. The land became Pharaoh's, and Joseph reduced the people to servitude from one end of Egypt to the other. However, he did not, let's read this is the most important part. 22. However, he did not buy the land of the priests, because they received a regular allotment from Pharaoh and had food enough from the allotment Pharaoh gave them. That's why they did not have to sell their land. Who are the priests? The priests of On. The money generated from the revelation of God, because the blessed of God were not thinking logically. It was used to feed not the priests of God, but the priests of On. Dear Christians, you have fed the Buddhist monks, the Hindu priests, you have fed imams, you have even fed traditional workers, because you have failed to think logically. You have fed everyone. Those who thought logically and built their nations, like Joseph helped the pagan Pharaoh build his nations, you have now reduced yourself to servitude to those people. We're going to borrow money from China. You were there last year when they went to borrow $1 billion from China. At this juncture, I end today's message. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope I was able to deliver this message well, so you can understand the carnality of the modern day Pentecostal spirituality. The disciples were spiritual. Somebody fell down from the third floor and died, and Paul went and lay on him, and the person was resurrected. Yet inside one church that they are Jew, you know, the most popular Jew, person died inside the church, they rushed him to the hospital, the person died. There is no spirituality. The only spirituality is how they will collect your money. Philip baptized the Ethiopian eunuch, and the moment he was done, he disappeared and reappeared somewhere else. Your pastors that have seminars and teachings to do abroad, why don't they appear and disappear at will? They'll be flying private jet up and down. Carnal. It's all carnality. I want you to type this. Because they fail to understand logic, their spirituality has become carnal. I need you to share this message. Nigeria cannot be saved until Nigeria can never be saved until we give to Caesar what is Caesar's and we give to God what is God's. And for the first time, I'm using that teaching from the Bible, and it has nothing to do with money. What belongs to Caesar is logic. What belongs to God is faith, spirituality. You're taking faith and giving it to Caesar. Your country will not rise unless you're ready to give logic to a logical problem and spirituality to a spiritual problem. That's as far as I can go today. I thank you so much for listening in. Share this message. Someone is saying Genesis 47. You can read all the way from 22. He did not buy the land of the priest because the priest always had an allotment from Pharaoh. Do you understand? Somebody said this here is deception. My biblical message that I backed up with you from the beginning to the end, explaining everything all to you, is deception. So what is your church now doing? How many of your Geo's prophecies in the last 10 years came to pass? Christ encouraged tax paying because tax paying is logic. It's a logical solution to a problem. Tithe paying is not a logical solution to any problem. Tithe paying is stupidity. Because at the end of the day, they use the money of your tithe to build shrines and temples and monasteries and mosques for those who use logic to solve their problems. I want you to say something for me today. I'm begging you all, and I want you all to type it. Don't use God's money to serve the priests of other gods. Christians, don't use God's money to build temples for other gods. And you're not doing it because you're wicked. I'm going to take God's money and go and give it to an idol. No, you're not doing it because you're wicked. You're doing it because you're stupid. But whether you are doing it because you are stupid or whether you are doing it because you are wicked, it's like you are eating yam because of oil or you are eating oil because of yam. Either way you want to do it, you are eating yam and oil. Whether you are doing it out of stupidity or you're doing it out of wickedness, you are giving God's money to other temples and priests because you have failed to think critically and apply wisdom and logic. God bless you. Thank you for listening. Please share the message and don't forget to subscribe.